And hello, everybody. As Clara's just said, my name is Sue Page. I may know some of you already. Please make yourself known if I do in the chat box from my face-to-face travels recently. But welcome to the presentation, everybody. This is delivering Pearson Edexcel International A-Level English Language, Paper 2. If you were with me on Tuesday, a couple of days ago, I presented about Paper 1, and now we're going to continue with Paper 2. A little bit about myself. If I move a slide, then you can be reading that while I'm talking to you about me. And then I'll go through the slide with you. My name is Sue, as I just said, and I have been delivering international and domestic GCSE and A-level across Europe and in Asia for over 35 years now. And recently I started examining and presenting, being a trainer for Pearson Edexcel, and that's where I am today. I live in southern Spain, although I am actually English. I live in the sunshine, although unfortunately today it is raining, so go figure. But I really enjoy living in Europe, although I have enjoyed my travels all around Asia as well. So wherever you are today, very much welcome, and I hope you gain some insight and understanding from this qualification. Okay, looking at the slide in front of you, this training is designed to support teachers of the Pearson Edexcel International A-Level English Language specification. We will be specifically looking at the summer series of May-June 2024. We are going to discuss assessment objectives, which, as you already know, I'm sure, and if you don't, they are the be-all and end-all that you need to know inside out, and so do your students. We need to know what they are, why they're used when writing examination papers. We will analyse that question paper that I mentioned from 2024, investigating how questions have been answered by looking at feedback from previous exam series. We're going to discuss teaching strategies that you hopefully will have time for at the end of the presentation to share different teaching strategies, and I will give you some along the way as well. And then at the end, we will have some networking where we can open up and chat freely about experiences and maybe any questions that you may have. Hello, hello, hello from everybody. Yes, I've seen quite a few chats there. So hello to all from Maria and also Tekle Michael. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry. Okay, so hope you've got your delegates pack for paper 2 at the ready. I will be referring to it as we go through this presentation and also using it as well for a couple of activities. The activities can be used here in the presentation. They can also be takeaway activities that you use in your centres, your departments, and of course, most importantly, with your students. As always, my throat gives in when I start talking at length. So the agenda. Let's look at what we're going to be doing today. The welcome, aims and objectives, a little introduction about Pearson Edexcel, then the context of the paper, the all-important assessment objectives, a recent question paper, as I said, from summer 2024, examples of candidates' responses, so real candidates' responses. We can see what candidates actually wrote and how they were marked, strategies for teaching, and then that questions, networking, and our concluding message from Pearson. Sit back, enjoy, and please talk to me. I know you can see me, the video is on, but your videos for me are off because there are so many of you. But if I wave at you, that's me saying hello and welcome. All right. So, welcome to Pearson. We are the world's leading learning company, and as the UK's largest awarding organisation, we're best placed to provide qualifications aligned to the British educational system. Our qualifications and assessments help to educate millions of people worldwide. We provide innovative textbooks, curriculum materials, multimedia learning tools, IT platforms, and lots of professional development, of which you are taking part in right now. At the core of everything we do is the desire to make a measurable impact on improving people's lives through learning. After all, that's what we're here for, isn't it? And that's what we're passionate about. Our international heritage at Pearson stretches back over 150 years. And today we partner with schools, universities, and employers worldwide, offering world-class, globally recognised qualifications to over 3.5 million students in over 70 countries worldwide. As you can see there, we mark over 10 million exam scripts on behalf of the UK Department of Education every single year, with extremely successful results. So focusing on the qualification itself, some general information about it. The A-level language is not a proficiency qualification like the IELTS. I don't know if you're familiar with the IELTS. It's the International English Language Testing System. But the A-level is the stepping stone to a more advanced linguistics pathway and needs to be approached with that very much in mind. The international A-level is very similar to the domestic qualification. Lots of those resources are very interchangeable between them. So if you've had experience or you've got resources for the domestic qualification, they're very usable for the international version as well. The qualification blends knowledge and skills in a very integrated and coherent way. It can be treated as a modular qualification. One of the slides later on in the presentation will go over this in more detail. But for example, some candidates can take the AS level in year 12, for example, and then stop. The AS is the advanced subsidiary, and that is units 1 and 2, or papers 1 and 2, or sometimes it's called components 1 and 2. It's all the same. I tend to keep to papers 1 and 2, 3 and 4, because it makes it quite obvious what I'm talking about when I use the word paper. But the advanced subsidiary includes papers 1 and 2, and then in actual fact the students can stop. But in order to have the full international A level, they need to have all 4 papers, 1, 2, 3 and 4, which is then the A2 level. The papers 3 and 4 are classified as A2, not AS. So let's move on to the specification itself, as I've just said. And now you can see in the middle column, the International Advanced Subsidiary or the International A2. You can see there 1 and 2 is okay. They're in year 12. They can take those 2 papers and stop. That's fine. But if they want the complete qualification, they have to do all 4 papers. On the table in front of you, they're called units, but as I said, I tend to use the terminology papers because it makes it far more understandable for everybody. So this week so far, I have gone over paper 1, which was language, context and identity, and today we're going to focus on paper 2, language in transition. This paper is the same length as paper 1, 1 hour 45 minutes. Where the students answer 2 questions, the same as all the papers in fact, one from section A and one from section B. Section A, for the purpose of paper 2, is called Spoken Language Today. And section B is the written language of the 19th to the 21st century. 50 marks are available for this paper. All right, this is important. Print it, laminate it, absorb it, put it under your pillows at night, give it to the students. They need to know this, all right? You need to know it and they need to know it. And unfortunately, lots of students don't have enough understanding about the assessment objectives, so they don't know what they need to be hitting, which targets they need to be hitting when they write their responses. So, as you can see, I hope you can see, I always have a hard copy. I'm a hard copy kind of girl, old-fashioned, you may say, but I do like hard copies. And I have all the assessment objectives there, and I refer to them constantly if I'm teaching, if I'm tutoring, in presentations, whether it's online or face-to-face. I'm always harping on about assessment objectives. And if you do the same with your students, they know the targets that they have to meet in order to gain those wonderful marks that are available for them. And then hitting those higher bands. So looking at just a couple maybe. Assessment objective one, we'll be looking all of them in detail as we go through the presentation, but I just want to make a point of saying that assessment objectives are there for a reason and they have to be read and understood very carefully. So for example, AO1 is apply appropriate methods of language analysis. So it's an analysis assessment objective. But not only that, it is using associated terminology and coherent written expression. And that's really important because if students just say the text is about something, they're not using the terminology that is expected of them, they're not going to hit the higher bands. So the terminology needs to be accurate and it needs to be relevant. That will give the candidates, as I say, access to those higher bands. The weightings are slightly different, as you can see, for the international A level or the as advanced subsidiary. You can see the percentages are slightly different, but if they take the whole qualification, it does work out to a full qualification in the end. Okay, I'll be referring back to these right the way through today's presentation. Context. This is a broad outline of why assessment objectives are used. Obviously, we need to have consistency across all the qualifications in the same subject. So an A-level English language needs to be the same, whether it's in Pearson Edexcel, whether it's in AQA, whatever it is, it has to have the same basis. And this is an off-qual requirement. And so that's why the assessment objectives are the same across the board. In this way, fairness is achieved and obviously clarity of information is provided. The subject domain, also the construct as we call it, is tested appropriately. So the whole of the subject, at some point, the whole of the subject is assessed via these assessment objectives. And therefore, validity is achieved. There are stated reference points for paper setters. So for those wonderful people who create the papers for the different examining boards, for the examiners themselves, for teachers and candidates, there are specific reference points and keywords and key ideas that are met through the assessment objectives. The assessment process for Pearson Edexcel runs efficiently during often pressurised periods of the year, which possibly for where you are in the world, it is May to July. It is quite frequently during those months. Okay, so what is assessed where? I'm just looking, okay, a couple of chats, but Claire's dealing with that. Thank you, Claire. So what is assessed where in international A-level English language? I gave this table on Tuesday when we were looking at paper 1, the WENO1, but today we're focusing on the bottom half there, WENO2, which is paper 2. And you can see that there are two questions, as always. Question 1 is section A and question 2 is in section B. And the assessment objectives here are slightly different than in paper 1. We have assessment objectives 1 and 4 are assessed in section A, and assessment objectives 2 and 3 are assessed in section B. You may notice that assessment objective 5 is not assessed in this paper. And that is because, a very good reason, assessment objective 5, and I'm just going to look at my paper so I can read it specifically to you, is that AO5 demonstrates expertise and creativity in the use of English to communicate in different ways. That is an assessment objective that the students are demonstrating their skill of writing when they're creating their own text. And they did create their own text in paper 1, but they're not doing that in paper 2. So that assessment objective is not used in paper 2. Okay, I think, yeah, I'm just trying to look at chats as well. All right, that's all good. let's move on. General context for then paper 2. It's called language in transition, and that's a great big clue because language is dynamic. It's always moving forwards, it's always developing, it's always changing. And we have different forms of language as it changes as well in different, English is different all over the world. You all speak English, I speak English, but maybe our English is slightly different in ways, in dialect and in accent and things. And this is focused on a little bit in this paper. So let's have a look at the paper itself. There's one exam, as I said to you, sections A and B. That's questions 1 and 2. 1 hour, 45 minutes. Excuse me while I take a sip of tea. Keep my throat lubricated and I don't croak. 1 hour, 45 minutes. That's the same as paper 1. So papers 1 and 2 both have 1 hour, 45 minutes. 25 marks per section. So that's where the 50 marks are gained. It's equidistant, okay? So there's the same 25 in A and 25 in B, making the 50. Sometimes it's different, but in paper 2, they're equally distributed. In this paper, we're focusing on non-UK varieties of English, typically Creoles or Pidgins. So this is where students this is their focus of study for this paper. For paper 2, 3 texts are always provided. 1 transcript and then 2 written pieces. They're unseen pieces, there's no knowledge beforehand, so these are unseen texts for the students on the day. Section A focuses on contemporary spoken language, which is exemplified through a transcript. So as I said previously, one is a transcript and then the other are written texts. So this one, they need to know certain things, especially the IPA, which we'll come on to shortly. And then section B requires candidates to discuss how the chosen variety reflects the development of English across the world. So it very much is focusing on that transition. Okay, Claire's on with various things. Thank you, Claire. All right, so as I said, language, it's in transition. The varieties, previous iterations have included Caribbean forms like Antiguan, Barbudan. That was from June 2024. In January 2017, it was South Asian version. In January 2019, Southeast Asian. June 2022 was African. January 2018, North American. June 2018, Australasian. And the SAMS, which I'm not sure if you're aware of the SAMS document, but that SAMS means Sample Assessment Materials. And this document focuses on multicultural London English, MLE, and this is not how the paper has developed, as despite the inclusion of Scottish English in June 2017, the varieties have been non-native as stipulated in the previous slide. So you will have the SAMS document in your pack, I believe. Some you might have already printed out, but that is a digital version of the SAMS document. And I actually have one here that I can show you what it looks like here. No, I don't. That's the getting started one. I do apologise. It's in my cupboard, but it's the SAMS document. You've got it in your pack. Okay. So language in transition, I'm going to keep repeating that because it's really important that that's the focus of this paper. And section A, there is one question. So let's have a look at a typical question. And for the purpose of exemplification, here it is. As I said, this is from the May-June 2024 series. Text A contains examples of Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English. Explore the connections between this variety and standard forms of English. Obviously, this rubric doesn't change apart from the specific variety under discussion, in this case, Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English, but the rubric otherwise stays the same. Students should refer to the following language frameworks and levels as appropriate: phonology, morphology, lexis, syntax, discourse. We'll talk about those as well. Obviously, don't worry, I won't leave you in the lurch. The paper predicates standard forms of English, and so the candidates, your students, need to understand what this means. So that's a topic for study in your classrooms. What is standard English? Remember that section A, only A01, which is the analysis of language, and A04 are going to be assessed. And A04 is the connections one. It's when you're comparing. So A04, if I read it to you, explore connections across text informed by linguistic concepts and methods. So A01, which is the analysis, and A04, which are the links and the connections, the comparisons, obviously because there are three texts there. So this is where section A focuses the assessment objectives here. And we are going to look at the mark scheme, which if you want to dig it out while I'm talking to you, I think on page 4, it outlines that indicative content of the more phonology, morphology, lexis, syntax, and discourse. So if you can dig out mark scheme paper 4, page 4, sorry, my apologies, the mark scheme page 4, and it does outline those indicative contents for those bullet points there. Okay. So let's have a little look at something for you to do that you don't fall asleep on me because I can't see you. I'm just talking to a screen here. But you can put a chat in and say hi in the chat group if you want, then I know you're still awake, which would be wonderful. So we are going to look at section A. The concept of acrolectal variety is important as this is effectively where the AO4 requirement for making connections, like I said. Still awake, thank you, Kaylee. Oh, hi, Kaylee, thank you. You were my go-to on Tuesday. Thank you, that's lovely. And also, so we've got, is it Tanza? Hi, Sue, that's lovely. I do like to know that you're out there in the ether. All right. So when I said AO4, it's those connections, okay, those comparisons, and this is where it's important. So what we're going to do here, and this is not scientific, so please don't get hung up about it if you don't agree. It's just something to keep you awake as well. Oh, hi, Rahina from Pakistan. Yes, I did see you back in November. Okay. Hello, everyone from Annette. Yeah, hello, everybody. So, match the variety. So, let's have a look at this. We have Hawaiian, Indonesian, and Nigerian. And then we have three different acrolecs, and they're all mixed up, by the way. So, we've got standard Australian English, we have standard British English, and we have standard American English. Unjumble them and match them according to who you think. So, the Hawaiian variety, which standard would you put it? Is it Australian, British, or American? And maybe give a reason why you think that. Indonesian, and the same for Nigerian as well. So just take a minute or two to have a little ponder on that. Have a sip of tea or coffee or whatever you've got, water, and then the next slide I will show you. As I say, it's not scientific, so I will show you what is considered to be acceptable. Okay, it's not scientific. It might lead to discussion, but hopefully not arguments. Don't worry about it. Standard American. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. We've got Vuli there, Hawaiian, Standard American due to its proximity, due to geography, Jessica says as well. Indonesia, we have standard. Which one have you got? You've got AE. Which one do you mean? Indonesian is standard. I got SAE, Nigerian SAE. Thank you, Jessica. Nigerian is standard British due to colonialism. Okay. Oh, I think you're all wonderful and thank you for being so awake. Okay. Wonderful. Let us continue. And I will boogie on to the next slide and you will see what the majority think here. Let's have a look. Uh-huh. And that's what we get. So we have Standard American due to proximity. Indonesian is arguably would be okay to hedge on that one, but yes, and Nigerian because of colonial history. So fabulous. Give yourself a clap or a pat on the back. Well done for that. Okay, so it's a starting point. Using that in the classroom as well, as I can say to you, it's good fun, all right? You might raise questions with your students, you might have people say, no, I don't agree with that, but that's great. Anything that they open their mouths and they start to communicate is wonderful. So it's a nice little go-to exercise to, oh, my chair's squeaking, sorry. A go-to exercise to get everybody talking, which is what we want to happen. Okay, so the acrolectal variety will have standard forms of morphology, which, if you have looked at the mark scheme, is inflection for plurality. Lexis, which is the nouns, the verbs, etc. Syntax, which is the subject-verb agreement. Okay, and then features from the transcript are to be connected with these. So students do have to know this terminology. And like I said right at the beginning, that A01 analysis of texts, but they have to use the correct terminology. So they do need to know this terminology that is on the screen. Okay, and use it when they're writing their responses. There may not be as many morphological examples in some of the varieties in the scripts because a lot of regional forms are pretty much standard in this respect. So it is actually okay for candidates to assert that the transcript is largely or entirely standard from a morphological point of view. That's all right, but please get them to mention it. Even if there's nothing to mention, mention that there's nothing to mention, if you get what I mean, okay? So that the examiner knows that they have actually addressed that because they're asked to do so. So that's an important point. In recent series, many candidates have successfully identified that the acrolectal variety may have shifted for a number of reasons, and this is important too because of the course of the development of that acrolect. So in the case of the June 2024 series, for example, there's no doubt that the colonial history of the Caribbean would have meant that British English, standard British English, has been the acrolect, but that this may well have changed because standard American English, due to the influence of the media and trade and all these things, and multimedia, things like YouTube and videos and movies and everything, the American English, standard English, has infiltrated so many standard British English forms. And so for that reason, the students can actually mention it. Further, the often adduced factoid that 80% of the internet has at its medium of communication English, and that American English is now dominant, that's obviously a factor, what I've just said, especially where text A is derived from an online source. So nowadays, students are quite savvy about what's going on in media and what's going on in the world, and we should give them credit for that and let them explore this knowledge. Don't give them confidence. Don't hold them back on anything. Let them explore. Let them discuss in class. Let them focus on things. Let them research. And that's going to be really relevant when it comes to paper 4 as well. Doing their own research. And finding out connections and the development, historical, contextual development of language over time. Okay, so here, candidates are expected to be familiar with and able to use the IPA, which is the International Phonemic Alphabet. You might be familiar with it already. There is always a copy of it in the source booklet. I can just show you on the camera now. There's always a copy for the source booklet for this series, the 2024 series. It's on page 3. So maybe you can be digging that out. The IPA is an important aspect of language in transition when it's talking about standard English and then the acrolects. So we're going to have a little fun activity of that in a moment. So a version of this is produced in the source booklet, I've just said, on paper, page 3. Candidates don't need to memorize it. It's always there, but they need to be familiar because it's quite overwhelming if they're sitting in an exam and they're faced with this table and they go, oh, I wish I'd learnt this bit earlier on. So do spend some time doing fun activities with them to get them used to understanding, using and learning what the IPA is all about so they can use it with confidence. It can be a challenge to understand what it intends and why would it be used and how it applies. So using this in the classroom will hopefully sort of quash those problems, those challenges for them. And ideally here we are, or rather importantly, we're dealing here with accent and not technically dialect. So they need to know the difference, obviously, between what a dialect is and what an accent is. And the IPA here is more focused upon accent rather than dialect. So here is our fun activity. And I'd like to see, it's going to be difficult actually in the chat to write this because of the actual way it's written, you can't, there's no type, there's no key that actually types this particular, but have a go. It can be fun. So using the IPA from page 3, or don't, if you already know it and you're giving yourself a challenge, that's okay. Write your first name as it would appear phonologically. Okay, this is a great activity and it can be extended to students writing little messages to each other using IPA as well. But we'll start with the name. So the first name, my name here is Sue, and that's how it would be written using IPA. Okay, however, I live in Spain, southern Spain, and the Spanish people, and I used to live in Germany, and it also is appropriate for the Germans. They always used to do the same thing for me, and I often get referred to as Sue. Okay, my name isn't Sue, it's Sue, but the Germans pronounce every syllable, so I get called Sue, and here in Spain, I get called Sue as well. All right, and so that's how it would be written using the IPA, Sue. Okay, let me have a look at what you've written. So Ivy, yeah, good, okay. Well done, Ivy, thank you. You're first on the board there, well done. So just take a minute to have a go. You don't need to put it in the chat if it's too difficult, but it is a great fun activity to use with your students to sort of break the ice, make them feel confident, get them to realize that this is not difficult and we're going to explore it in baby steps and they can do this. Give them the confidence to say, yes, I can. So what have we got? Kaylee. Yeah, we have. Great. It's fabulous. Hokey cokey. Let's move on. We got any more going on? No, we've only got Ivy and Kaylee at the moment. Nobody else having a go. Confidence in the chat. It is quite difficult, so I understand that. Right, so let's look. It is useful for candidates to know about suprasegmental variation or prosody rather. So there's lots of terminology that they do need to get to know. Prosody, if you're not familiar with it, being the accent of a syllable. So there's lots of things when you go into past papers which are fabulous. Mark schemes and past papers are gold. They are such a highly useful teaching tool. And if you go into past papers and go to previous text A, which is the first text in section A, question 1, if you go into those and you get the students, just maybe the first paragraph might even be the first sentence, then the first paragraph, and gradually build up to them looking back at full texts and actually working out what's going on in them and analysing them. And that's what we're going to be doing in a moment, looking at the lexis, syntax, and so on. Stress or emphasis can be marked in bold on the transcript. So if you are in the source booklet, you might already see text A, where there are micro pauses and key phonemic transcriptions, so how things are actually set out. Students need to be familiar with this, so the more you can give them in the form of a transcript, the more that they will be comfortable analysing it. Tone and volume or tempo, and also pace. However, these final elements here, these final bullet points here, the only first one really, the idea of the accent of a syllable, the first one, the prosody, is probably most appropriate. It's really the stress, tone, volume, pace, and pitch may be mentioned. It might be applicable, but less so, maybe not significant at all. That's okay. But they need to be aware of them just in case there's something to be analysed there. Right, we're going to have a look at an excerpt from the June 2024 paper. This is in your source booklet on page 4, which is that text A that I mentioned. And we have two people, Kania and Shiva. They are having a conversation. And if you look at the rubric at the top, it says text A is taken from an interview posted on YouTube in 2019. Shiva is the CEO of a clothing brand called This is Antigua 268. She is being interviewed by Kania to promote the brand on his channel. In the excerpt, Shiva is explaining how she can make the clothes to order in colour combinations requested by the customer. So this is the transcript that the students got in 2024, and it was using the IPA as well. So that's what they need to understand and be comfortable with. Let's have a look, okay? They're discussing the clothing business, which one of them runs. I've just read the rubric to you there. So here is the first part of the conversation. It's the first sort of 4 lines at the top of the transcript. And I can try and read it to you. It's more difficult reading out aloud, but here we go. Kania. So they trying to tell you, even if everyone come with any random color. Sheba. Kania, long as we can source it, you hot. Take it from me. Kania, y'all heard it here first, y'all. Heard it yourself. So no matter the color, no matter the texture, once we have it, that is what you're gonna get. Get it. My apologies there. All right, and I hope I didn't offend anybody there trying to get through that, or how I actually attempted the IPA as well. So the that accent there, it's not dialect, remember, it's accent. What we're going to have a look at here, we've got Jessica. Yeah, okay, thanks Jessica for your IPA there. And Kadura. Okay, all right. We've got people on the chat, which I really do appreciate. Okay, so that is the text at the beginning. What we're going to have a look at is, if you keep your sort of one eye on that, what we're going to do is we're going to try and identify, it's on the screen anyway, if you can't identify it in your booklet, but one phonological, one lexical, and one grammatical issue. Okay, this is that AO1, that analysis of a text of language. So have a little look at that. Just take a moment. You don't need to write anything in the chat, but have a think. If you're sitting with somebody in your departments or in your centres, maybe have a discussion between yourselves as to one phonological, one lexical, and one grammatical issue. And we will come back to that in just 1 minute. Okay. So I just want to add that these sources, these texts are sourced by the people who create the exam very carefully, so that there are lots of options for candidates. They're not having to look for just one answer. There are lots available. So we might get a variety of answers to those questions. They're phonological, lexical, and grammatical, because they're very carefully sourced so that the students are not left hanging high and dry, not being able to find something because there's only one available. No, there's a variety there. There are a variety there. Okay, so on that point, 30 more seconds, and I will then come back to you. And we're going to first of all find a phonological one. Remember, if you're not sure about phonological or lexical or grammatical issues, you can look on the mark scheme. I will remind you that on the mark scheme, it is on page 4. And it looks like that. Okay, so phonology, morphology, lexis, syntax, and discourse are on page 4 of the mark scheme if you are still uncertain as to what they are. And don't worry, if this is your first time teaching this qualification, this might all be a little bit of information overload. Do not panic, okay? And at the end of the presentation, I will give you lots of ideas for support that Pearson Edexcel provides for you. So please don't panic. And there is a support partner there, a guy called Stephen Gillespie, and also I'm available to help out. Okay, so let's move on. Let's find that phonological one. There are others, as I said, but y'all is interesting that it probably indicates the influence of American forms on this one. So they're trying to tell y'all there, and then y'all, where was y'all? There we go, Kania. Y'all heard it here first. You all becomes y'all. Heard it yourself. Okay, so it's probably interesting that y'all is influenced possibly of y'all. Is that Southern American? I don't know, but it's the influence of American forms. Okay, so that could be one. Lexical. Hot. Yeah, that was the one that in the second line there that Sheba says, Kani, as long as we're going to sausage, you hot. I mean, you're good. You're good to go. You're okay. It seems to connote good, typical of the modern usage, which draws on the conduit metaphor relating to figurative uses of temperature. The hotter it is, the better it is, kind of thing. Okay. And youngsters love using their own language and be able to say that something's hot means it's good. Alternatively, lots of students nowadays, when something is bad, it means it's good. So that's quite weird. It's like a complete contrast of meaning. But that was really bad, miss. And I think, oh, it was bad. No, no, that means good. Okay. So language is really on its head and changing, and it's really interesting as well. Hot, just like in Nigeria, saying something is bad connotes, yeah, exactly. That's what I've just said. Thanks, Ivy. Yeah, something bad means it's great. So be aware that the floor is open when you're in the classroom. Listen to it all because I'm learning as I'm going. Okay. And then looking at a grammatical issue here, they trying admits the primary auxiliary tense marker are. Instead of they are trying, it just becomes they trying. So as you can see, there's lots there that they can pick out, and that might just be something that you have focused on. Great way of engendering discussion in your, yeah, centres, departments, classrooms, and so on. And I think being around teenagers nowadays keeps me on my toes, and I'm sure it keeps you on your toes as well. It's wonderful. Okay, so all of these things can be said as typical. Okay, focusing still on the transition, and this is an important issue for this exam. The candidates must avoid that prescriptive approach. They should refer to variant features as non-standard or ungrammatical. I will explain more. It is recognised that pressure of exam situations might lead to slips into value judgment terminology, such as that's bad language or that's wrong language, and that's not appropriate. They have to avoid that at all costs. If they do it once, examiners will overlook it, but if it's persistent, then it's likely to lead to lower attainment. They should say that it is non-standard English or it is ungrammatical English rather than it is bad English, because when we're talking about language in transition, there's no such thing as bad English. It's an accent or it's a dialect. It's not bad. It's not wrong. Okay, it's different. It's non-standard. It's ungrammatical if necessary. Many candidates are by now aware of this and appear well informed. So please continue this trend and make sure that your students don't. It does happen, slip-ups happen, and that's okay. But if it's consistent, then we never penalise, but they don't attain the grade that they possibly could. Okay. Moving on. Candidates don't need to deal with each of the bullet points on phonology, morphology, lexis, syntax, and discourse in equal measure. They need to mention all of them, even if there's nothing to mention, like I said before, but they don't have to mention them in equal measure. They don't have to have a paragraph on each or anything like that. There may be more to say about phonology than morphology, and so on. Okay, they need to address each of the bullet points, but they do not need to be in equal measure. So that's worth noting. It's important. Yeah, they're advised at least to attempt some comment on syntax because syntax is there. Okay, the nouns, the verb, it's all there. So they should comment on something. Okay, there's some things that can't be avoided. For example, they could discuss both sentence type and sentence function. Okay, so making students aware of this will actually lead to a sigh of relief for them, I'm sure. So for paper 2, sentence types would be considered simple, complex, compound and compound complex. So you need to go over some grammar lessons. I know they tend to be dry lessons, so pepper them into your other content of lessons and go through some simple sentences, complex, compound and compound complex, when they're used, why they're used, and so on. So I wouldn't advise doing hours and hours on focusing on that in one lesson, but a little activity as a starter or to break up a lesson, maybe to do something. Yeah, whatever. You know your cohort and you work accordingly. Sentence functions are statement, question, command, and exclamation. So students need to be aware and comfortable with each of those and how they're used. And it's not usually helpful to assert that speech has no grammar or syntax, because of course it does. So please don't say, because they don't want to write about it. They say there's nothing there to write about. Yes, there is. So it's not usually helpful. Successful candidates might say that speech, grammar, has recognizable patterns and rules of syntax, and these can be identified in the extract. So give them a get out clause as to how to approach things like that. Okay, a little activity coming up. So what are some of the syntactical issues of text A, which, as I said, was on page 4 of the source booklet. So we're looking at that conversation again, Kania and Sheba, but it's a little bit further down now, just a couple of lines further down. Let's have a look. What could a candidate say about sentence type and function? So referring to the previous slide here. And you can find it on page 4, but I have also got it for you there. Just bring your combinations. You're helping us get better, and we helping you come and meet me increase our colour scheme, and plus you still get what you want. So it's just those 2 lines from Kinnear that's on page 4, a couple of lines further down than what we looked at previously. And what we're looking at here is syntactical issues here, for example, sentence type or function. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat here we've got from Jessica for grammar. You could use no matter what the colour omits certain grammatical terms. Yes, okay, good. Okay, good. Thank you, Jessica. Absolutely right. Yes and no, there are some wrong answers, but on the whole, there are things there for a well-prepared candidate can pick out on, and usually everything that they pick out is something noteworthy, something that they can talk about. Okay, so let's take it a little bit further. Syntactical issues. Yeah, did I write it? Yes, I did. Okay, so here we go. So just bring your combinations. I wrote it again for you. You're helping us get better, and we helping you. Come and help me increase. Do you know, sometimes a note for your students and for yourselves, really, I know it's difficult to read it out loud, but it really does make you realize where the errors are, because if you can't read it fluently, you can't sort of go through it nice and smoothly, it usually means there's something there. So that's a sort of like a little tip for your candidates, your students. When it says just bring your combinations, you're helping us get better and we helping you. Obviously, there's something, yeah. Come and help me increase our colour scheme, and plus you still get what you want. So candidates might comment on the use of imperative. Just bring your combinations, okay? That might be something that they could focus on, and how this is reflective of the context, okay? They might also discuss the fact that the micropause appear to work as speech punctuation, separating a simple sentence in the first part of the utterance from the compound sentence in the second, from you are helping, you're helping. Just bring your combinations. So that micropause there is almost functioning as a full stop or an end stop. You're helping us get better and we helping you come and help me increase. So that following part of the compound sentence there, and this is syntactical patterning again, typical of this kind of content. So more practice, obviously practice makes perfect, or as near as. So the more opportunities that students get to actually read transcripts, the more that they become familiar and comfortable with analysing them. Hey, okie dokie. Let me have a look. What have we else we got? Let me just, that's Jessica again, I think. Activate 4, but because is naturally abbreviated to suggest this. Okay, transactional dialogue may be rushed. Suggest pace. Good. Yeah. So possibly it suggests, never say it is, but you're absolutely right, just to suggest it could be due to pace. Good. Thank you very much for your contributions. They're absolutely perfect. It is confidence, confidence to say things, not being reticent, thinking, oh, I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong. No, and you must instill this confidence in your students as well. Terminology, I keep going back to this, and this is for the AO1 especially. Terminology is important in this exam, as it is in all 4 exams, but it shouldn't be used without purpose. So, for example, if a candidate doesn't know or isn't sure about one aspect of terminology, for example, I used relaxification here, they should avoid using it. Don't use something if they can't analyse it and expand it and take it to its furthest depth, which we're going to talk about deep sea diving towards the end. If you know me, you know exactly what I'm talking about to get to those higher levels. Sustaining an answer is obviously a key to success. They may ask about word count. I don't think I've ever been in a scenario teaching students for an exam. They don't say, well, how much should I write? What do you think, miss? What's right? And there's never, ever an answer. There's no simple answer at all. Some candidates can write 600 words and they do really, really well because it's concise and it's saying everything they want to do in a concise way, and it's very accurate. Others might go over the 1,000, and that's fine. Some still do extremely well. Some over 1,000 might just get a modest result. Okay, so more does it? It's quality, not quantity, as I'm sure you understand. But whatever is produced needs to be orderly, relevant, informed, accurate, and well expressed. Please ensure that your students are aware of that. It's orderly, so it's planned and it's got structure. It's relevant to the task. It's informed. It's accurate using the correct terminology, and it's well expressed. Okay. Lovely. I hope everything is going well at your end, as it is here. We've had almost an hour. So we're going to keep going a little bit further. Section A always has more content than section B, so we will have a break at some point, but it won't be dead on the hour. So please don't panic that you're thinking I've run over. I am aware of the time. So let's look at something else here. Although it will be discussed later on when we are talking about section B, theory is worth considering. And this topic did come up on Tuesday when we were talking about paper one. Theory is important for the International A-level English language. And students need to know about theory. They need to know theorists. They need to know the theories that they are that have been expressed, and they need to have knowledge of them. They don't need to know everything inside out. We're not at graduate level here, but they do need to have a good, sound knowledge of a variety of theories. There will be a list in a little while that I can give you with theories, I think, but there is one on paper one. But hang on a little minute, I'll have to sort of scoot forwards and have a look. But theory is worth noting. So some key concepts of theories: prescriptivism and descriptivism. Okay, I'm not going to spend the time going through these now. You either do already know and you're aware of these, or it's a great activity for your students to research these and find out what they mean and which theorists actually wrote about them and what their ideas were. So we have creolization, assimilation, convergence, and divergence here. We have the speech act theory, and we have the golden age and other similar concepts as well. So that's an activity, a takeaway activity that you can use with your students and also for yourselves maybe in your departments, because that is all important. And it is an important issue for this exam because in transition, there are different theories that suggest things and they need to be aware of them. Okay, let's move on to a marking activity. This is just a preliminary exercise, so it's just a taster exercise. And as with all of them, there isn't enough time in a 2-hour presentation to actually go into depth with things, but it does give you a chance to have a look at a response and try and figure out where you think it belongs. It's marking activity 1, and just a few points to note that the best candidates do much more than simply feature spot. As I said before, knowing the word but not being able to analyse it isn't going to get them any marks. So it has diminished. People, students are not feature spotting like confetti and just peppering them into their texts everywhere. They do know more and more that if they mention something, they have to say where it's relevant, why is it being applied, and analyse it to deep diving depth. Okay, so a simple connection between an identified feature, a variation, and the form which it might have taken in the acrolate. For example, this misses out the verb. This misses out the verb are. Yet they're stating something great, but they're not actually explaining or analysing or evaluating as they would need to do on the mark scheme. So this misses out the verb are. In standard English, it should be they are trying to. This isn't especially helpful. They have to say what. They have to go into more depth, obviously. So the best answers: identify, by quotation, analyse as specifically as possible, connect, contextualise, and comment. And those, it's a great sort of, if they can get some sort of way of remembering that they identify, analyse, connect, contextualise, and comment, it would be good. As I said, it's a taster activities. You're only attempting to place the opening of an answer as an indication of how an examiner might approach a candidate's piece of work. The mark scheme is on page 5. So if you look from the indicative content that I focused on before with phonology, morphology and everything, if you turn over the page one more, then you have section A, mark scheme. And remember, They're only focusing on assessment objectives 1 and 4. Remember, 1 is the analysis using terminology, and 4 is the comparison assessment objective. Only using those on that mark scheme there on page 5 of the mark scheme. So looking at it, you're going to attempt this opening from from June 2024 section. Where do you think it is heading? Remember, we're marking positively, and I do emphasize this every time I talk to delegates and also when I talk to students as well, is that examiners are always looking to credit. We do not penalise. We don't throw ticks around like confetti, as some may think, but we reward candidates for what they are doing, and we don't penalise them for what they're not doing. So don't get hung up on mistakes. Look for positives all the time, okay? The best fit approach is employed by examiners. Not everything in the descriptors has to happen in order to be in the place of the band. And I think this was a question on Tuesday as well. One of the delegates asked me, and I apologise if it was you and I can't remember your name, do all the bullet points have to be hit in the mark scheme before the student can go to the next level? No, they don't. It's a best fit. As soon as a student is in that higher level, and it's solidly in that higher level, that's where they belong. They can't then go back down. Okay, so as I say, we're crediting, we're not penalising. So if there's something that hits one of the bullet points and it firmly hits that bullet point in the higher level, the higher band, that's where they sit. Okay, so it is the best fit approach. And I always mention as well, when you're marking, do take a minute to think where you're sitting in your chair. And I apologise if this is information that you've heard many times from me before, but when you're marking a piece of work, if you're sitting forwards and your brows are furrowed and you think, oh gosh, this is a bit hard work, and you're really trying to find places to credit the candidate or credit the student, then it's likely to be a lower level. The more you sit back in your chair and the more you're relaxed and the more you're enjoying the piece that you're reading, it's probably gone through into the higher bands. That's just a rule of thumb. It isn't scientific by any means, but just things like that do help. You know, if you're sitting forward, maybe, and then, oh, that's nice. And if you've got a smile on your face and you think, wow, that was enjoyable. Oh, hang on, I haven't marked it. Then that's probably in the higher bands. Okay. Maria, in terms of essay structure, could they organise the example with frameworks or could they analyse chronologically? It's completely up to the student what they're most comfortable with doing. If they want to analyse chronologically, that makes sense. They have to plan. So whichever, we all work differently and our students are just as different as we are. And so if it really doesn't matter what the end result has to be, Maria, is that they're hitting those bullet points in the mark scheme, in the assessment objectives. How they do that, they probably, if you determine that is how you've got to do it, it might not sit with them very well. But if you let them experiment, this is how it goes. As long as they then mark their own work and they can see if they're hitting those bullet points in the assessment objectives, that's fine. But remember what I said in the slides beforehand about it being specific and they're analysing and it's contextualised and it's accurate, okay? How they approach it, that very much works with our individual way of working. Okay, thank you. Yeah, more than welcome. More than welcome. Okay, so this is not in the delegate pack, so maybe you can see it on the screen. I will read it to you. I have my lovely hard copy that I always have, and I will read it to you because it's handwritten and handwriting, yeah, isn't always easy to read. I do apologise. I'm going to have to oil my chair a little bit. It's not always easy to read, so I will read it through with you. It's quite short. Okay, text A is an extract from a YouTube online interview showcasing Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English. Given the island's colonial links to Britain, it is anticipated that British English was a former acrolect or superstratum, although this has likely now shifted towards American English due to increased globalization, American tourism, and physical proximity to the USA. The influence of technology, as well as growing distance from the colonial past, also influences the Creole's link to Standard English, hereafter SE. In terms of phonology, there are clear links to American English. The pronunciation of you all as y'all shows a combination of the two words, a distinctly American bum bum bum, and so it goes on. So that's the opening there of a response to the question for section A. Gut feeling, where do you think it goes? Remember the mark scheme page 5, we're assessing assessment objectives 1 and 4. Which band would you place it? Hit that chat box if you have something to say. I'm not going to stay too long on this. We're already 5 past the hour, nearly 6 minutes past the hour. So I don't want to focus, but I just want you to see how this, where this fits. Okay, it was an actual response. And if I give you the level, then you have sort of a springboard for when you're looking at other responses and that you can show to your students in your classroom scenarios. Okay. This is only the very opening of it, remember. The response went on obviously a lot longer than this. Level 4, Kaylee, thank you for jumping in. It's never easy, is it? So put it out there and think, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, okay. Got level 4. Any more for any more before I carry on? Any more for any more before I carry on? I hope you're smiling. We've got level 5. Is that level 5, Maria? Thank you, thank you. All right, good. Well, we've got high levels anyway, haven't we? Good. So let us carry on. Marking activity. Okay. Sorry, I didn't give you the answer, did I, after all that? It actually was a level 5 on a band 5. It At this stage, it's a high 4 going on to a 5. If it were to continue in this vein, it would achieve a level 5, and in actual fact, it did. So this did actually achieve a level 5 grade on this one. At this point, I'm sitting back in my chair and I'm thinking, this is good. This student knows what they should be hitting with the assessment objectives. And as the text goes on and it starts comparing the different texts, obviously at the beginning there we've got text A and then it carries on to B and C. And as it continues, it did actually achieve a level 5. But if you were in that high 4 or 5s, then you can give yourself a pat on the back as well. And this can be used as a comparison to other scripts that you may read from your students that you can see and work with them on this. Okay, so we have a marking activity 2. This is a complete answer, and it's on page 2 of script 1. So I don't know whether you've got hard copies or whether you've got digital copies of script 1. I tend to have everything in front of me as a hard copy, but here that we have, did I write it for you? Text A is a spoken conversation that has been transcribed. Yes, it has. Using the mark grid, which I've just said is on page 5, put it in the level which you think it deserves. I'm not going to give you the answer just yet, so let's go back on that one. So, okay, so this is activity 6. I'll tell you how it starts. It starts with, it's on page 2 of script 1. Okay, it's on page 2. Yes, I put that in the slide. I don't realise what I've done. So it's on page 2 and it starts with text A is an spoken conversation that has been transcribed, taken from an interview posted on YouTube, a social media site, suggesting that the interview is aimed towards local and international audiences. There are 2 speakers speaking about the field of fashion, referencing to Sheba's clothing brand. This is Antigua 268. I will be discussing the comparisons between Creoles they speak in, which are Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English, the Standard English, through the phonology, morphology, lexis, syntax, and discourse, along with the identity created through the text. Okay, so gut reaction to that. Where do you think it sits? Obviously, the text goes on and on onto page 3 as well. In total, 1,053 words. Skim over it, have a little look. But even from that very opening paragraph, compare it to the one that I read out to you that was a level 5. Where does this one sit, do you think? Anybody out there in the ether? Anybody out there? I can see how compared to the first opening, which provided more contextualization versus this one, which seems to be missing the level of content. Yeah, absolutely. So which level do you think you would give it, Kaylee? Where would you sort of put it? Looking at the mark scheme, remember we are crediting, we're not penalizing, we're not comparing. We are comparing for the purpose of this presentation, but we're actually looking level 5, Lauren? The first one was level 5. Level 5 was the one I read out to you, the handwritten one. This one would be a firm level 4. Okay, okay. Anybody else? Let's move on and let's see what the examiners said. Okay, good. Yeah, well done, Kaylee. Okay. Yeah, firm level 4. Reading it further, it seems to be level 3. I think at the beginning, you're absolutely right, Maria. Starting off, it was level 3, and this is a good point to note. You start off and you're thinking, ah, this is level 3, and you already have it fixed in your mind that this response is going to be a low level. Some students, just like we all do, we take time to get the ball rolling. We take time to get in there and to get comfortable with what we're writing. We're not all level 5 students, and we hit the mark straight away and we hit the ground running. No, we don't. We're all individuals. We're all different. Be patient. Get into the text. Settle into it yourself, get comfortable with what the student is trying to achieve, and then you might need to read it a couple of times, but appreciate that everybody's individual and we all work in a different way. Okay, so this actually was I will give you here, it's level 4 is between 16 and 20. It actually achieved, I think it was a 19, so it was a high level 4. For this particular script. It could have been improved if they'd contextualized their analysis a little bit more, which is exactly what you said. Well done. Okay. Comments on syntax could have been developed. And this is the difference between swimming and deep sea diving. I'll go into that a little bit later. And I'm leaving some of you wondering and puzzled look as to what I mean by that. But it's the difference between swimming and deep sea diving. Level 5 is deep sea diving. Level 4 is swimming. Sorry, level 4 is snorkeling. My apologies. It's the difference between snorkeling and deep sea diving. This is a snorkeling text where the students have gone down, they've mentioned something, it's been relevant, they've actually gone into it a little bit, but they've held back from evaluating it or developing it in any detail. So there could have been more evaluative overview as a conclusion. So yeah, it's a snorkeling version. I hope you're smiling and thinking, what on earth is she going on about? It actually achieved a 19 out of 20. So, no, it's not a low level 4, Maria. It's quite a solid, firm, good level 4. Okay. All right. So, it offers a sound, sustained exploration, a competent connection, and a very secure methodology for AS. Okay. It's AO4. The linking assessment objective there. Okay, here we go. It's nearly 1/4 past the hour, a well-being break. I'm sure you have deserved it. Thank you for participating so far. Please don't disappear or fall asleep. We're only going to have a couple of minutes, so it's a bit of a break to maybe refresh a drink or a bathroom break or whatever. But can we have like a maximum of 5 minutes? And if you want to just stay on, please do. I'm going to be sitting here as well. So if there's anybody wants to write anything in the chat, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying on video and I'm staying on audio as well. It's just an opportunity for you to have a stretch if you wish. and come back because we still have 45 minutes and there's still section B and a little bit of support from Pearson to get through. Section B is a bit shorter though, so don't worry. Okie dokie, off you trot. Go, 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 but be back soon. I'm missing you already. Everybody's disappeared and nobody wants to chat to me. Is there anybody out there that I've met recently? So, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nairobi, apart from obviously the people who've already said hello. Present, Ivy, thank you, Ivy. Have you taught this qualification before, Ivy? Are you teaching it currently or is it something new to you? You knew. Okay, nope, you're new to this. Are you comfortable with it? Is it something that you're dying to get your teeth into, or is it something you're a bit uh, moving forward with trepidation? Sounds so interesting. It is interesting that I'm quite passionate about what I do, though maybe you can sense that. So, and you've got to let that sort of flow onto your students because if you're confident and you're happy and you're passionate about what you do, and you learn as you go, don't forget it's not a thing that from minute one you know everything. It's it's a continual progression of knowledge. So just making sure they're comfortable and they're feeling happy and confident does wonders. It's really interesting, yeah. All right, okay. All right, good. Yeah, doing your master's degree. Fabulous. Yeah, just smile your way through it and enjoy every minute. Life's too short not to anyway. Hina, yes, present. Yeah, how are you? Good. All right, that's nice. Good. Okay. So you can refer back to your master's and go into that then. That's good. Waiting to meet you, 9th of February. Ooh, I might have some bad news on that one, Hina. Oh, 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 oh. We'll see. I'm still in contact with Pearson about that. No, I'm still in contact with Pearson about that. Um, I don't know, do you remember I was actually really ill when I was in Pakistan? Do you remember? Due to the air pollution there. Yeah. Yes, I was, well, I came back and actually I was admitted into hospital with the focus on they were searching to see if I had pneumonia or not. It was that re no, the food was great. It was very spicy. It was good. A little bit hot for me, but I enjoyed trying it. But I was actually quite poorly when I got back. And I'm still on some form of medication for that. So I don't know whether I am going to allow myself to go back to Pakistan at the moment because I believe that the air pollution lasts sort of till October till February, something like that. So I'm a little bit skeptical at the moment. So, but never say never. That's what I'm saying. And I am still in communication with Pearson about it. Fabulous country, fabulous people, fabulous food. I was breathing fire. Yes, thank you. I will look after myself. I'm all right. I have I've still got an inhaler. What's that about? But hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, quite frightening. Health is far more important, Hina. You're absolutely right. And I've said to Pearson, if I don't go, then I would quite happily do this course online and do a day course or whatever it takes over a series of days. So maybe that option's available, or maybe they will actually send somebody else. I don't know. I'm still talking at the moment. Happy to, yes, I know. I'm I'm here and I'm good. Yeah. All right, and you know me. Yeah, you know what I'm all about. Right, listen, it's 20 past. We need to get going. Okay. So let's boogie on, shall we? I hope people are present. And there's me rattling on about me not being well. That's not appropriate at all. I'm fine. So we're looking at section B, people. Let's go forwards with this. Section B, one question, okay, which is question 2. And this one is paper 2, obviously still language in transition. And this is a typical question just for the purposes of exemplification. And it was taken from the June 2024 series, which is what we've been focusing at. And here, what the students, the candidates have to do is they have to read those texts again, A, B, and C, and they have to make sure they know them before answering question 2. So obviously they've read them for question 1. So this is just revisiting them, reminding themselves. And the question is, discuss how this variety of Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English reflects the development of English across the world. The rubric doesn't change. Obviously, that section does change of where it's relative. So Antiguan and Barbudan Creole English, that probably would change depending on what the focus is, but the rest of the rubric doesn't. And remember section B, everybody, we're now focusing on AO2 and AO3. So I'm going to remind you, go back to my piece of paper, which I love. AO2, we're now demonstrating critical understanding of concepts and issues relevant to language use. That's AO2. And AO3 is to analyze and evaluate how contextual factors and language features are associated with the construction of meaning. So we've got AO2 and AO3 as the assessment objectives now. Okay, there are always bullet points because this helps the student. As I said, this is A level, but it's not undergraduate level. So we do structure, or we help and support a student in their structure of their response. So they should consider the contexts in which this variety is used, other influences, and how the role of English as an international language is reflected in the text. So this does help them to focus on their response. And this again is 25 marks, and they have to refer closely to the texts in the source booklet. All three. All three. As a reminder, AO2, AO3, and all 3 texts there. I've said it 3 times because it's really important. They should try to avoid repetition. It's wasting time in their responses though. So looking at A more holistically through a conceptual or a theoretical lens, as opposed to revisiting section A content at length. Do not repeat answers that they have produced for section A. Okay, they can't get more marks for the same answer, obviously. So this could entail taking a discursive position relating to the general role of the variety in its speech community, contextualizing this alongside the information contained in other texts. So here they are using the information from all 3 texts. There's no requirement for candidates to have a specific or detailed knowledge of the variety used. So they don't need to have knowledge of Creole or Barbudan language in order to answer this question, okay? No, they're not expected to. Okay, that said, there are good generalizations and less good ones. Remember, practice makes virtual perfect. So there's no stipulation that the bullet points are covered in order or covered in equal depth, so similar to section A. Okay, identifying key concepts that are apparent across the 3 texts and then discussing them in detail, exploring the links, might be preferable to dealing with each text separately. If they deal with each text separately, it tends to take a lot longer and they run the risk of overlapping. Whereas if they pick a key concept in for each one, it tends to be more successful. Yeah, there possibly would be conceptual overlaps in the sources. So, for example, the context of its use might be very much linked to other influences on the variety. So there's an awful lot for the students to prepare themselves for here. So in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, the Caribbean region, having been especially subject to the vicissitudes of colonialism, is linked to the influence not only of standard British English, but African and other language as well. So the vicissitudes naturally being the natural changes over time. Okay, so therefore, we have key conceptual and issue-based. We've got diachronic change, synchronic variations, overt, covert. These are things that you can take away and get the students to research, obviously helping them with their paper 4 work as well. Assimilation, importance of oral tradition, the role of language, and the roles of acrolectal forms. Okay, so all of this can be used in your classroom as a strategy for them in getting them in preparation for this. More there. Contextual factors, colonialism, commerce, mass, local media, important. Education, governmental, political concerns, technology, there's a plethora of information there. So take these slides away and you can obviously use them with your students. It's not the Secret Service, as I always say. This is not a me and you against them. This isn't us, communication, teamwork. These may well apply to other varieties, of course, not just to the Antiguan and Barbudan. So, although all factors are important here, just like with section A. So evaluation, gosh, this really needs to be taken in the point in the journey on which this variety finds itself, typicality compared to other forms, the ways in which the variety is used, the significance of the variety for individual and group identity. So that's also, following factors are crucial. The last one is an important one. This organisation and expression. These are not expressly assessed in the mark scheme, but they are significant because if the response can't be followed, it's harder to judge it, obviously. So make sure it's planned and well expressed. Little activity here. This is an approach that proved successful in the 2024 summer series, was to identify the acrolect. And this would historically have been the standard British English, and then proceed to comment on the shaping influences which are raised in the 3 texts. So this was a way forward, is to identify then the standard British English and then comment on the others in the other 3 texts. It worked, okay? So this is something I'm not going to dwell on too much, but it's what's the connecting issues between the 3 texts. You might not actually have read all 3 texts, which I completely understand for the purpose of this presentation. So I will go through them. It's an activity that you still can take away and use, that you find links with your students between the text. So what are the connecting concepts, broadly speaking? So in text A, if you look at it, the speakers exemplified the Creoles in action. They speak about the variety as something of which they're proud and which is a crucial act of their identity. Text B comments on the role of mother languages and offers some lexical examples and discusses the connection between variety and identity. And then the third text provides context in a highly formal register, and it offers a folkloric example of the variety. I quite like text C, but that's what you can do with your students. Look at 3 texts from a past paper and then try and identify connecting concepts. Broadly speaking, summarise the text and see where it links. What's the connecting concept between them all? Okay. Another effective method for the Summer Series 2024 was to start the discussion by rooting the materials in a theoretical base. So if the students are really into theories, and they might want to root this idea as the start and then proceed from there. So let's have a look at some theories. This is the list I wanted to give you but couldn't identify the slide. We're now on slide 47. So we have some theories, but this is not an exhaustive list. You can get the students. There's always something coming up and they find that you didn't know. So it's a great learning experience for all of us. Every day's a school day. Every day's a learning day. And so that's what they can maybe use. So that slide maybe is important as a takeaway. And it is not a prescriptive or exhaustive list. There are a variety of others. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Hina. The connection's not been broken. So discourse. Much of paper one applies to paper two with regards to discourse, which you will find on, let me just, in the mark scheme, let me go back, then I can actually be specific. Discourse was at the bottom of page 4 of the mark scheme. There's a little bit, a bullet point on discourse, which you can refer to. And we talked about this in paper one, field, function, mode, audience. So this can be applied to this as well. In addition, candidates often consider the spoken language textures of features of text A, the micropauses, the repetitions and fillers. It's all relevant, okay? Discourse can be slashed with graphology a little bit, so it's the presentation of the text as well. So it can be commented on, okay? Nowadays, students like to pepper their conversation if you speak to them with things like man or bro or like. It's like I say, what's that word like? Why is it there? But that is how language is developing. So anything that is peppered in the transcript can be mentioned. Sort of discussion is made more useful when it's related to the generic structure of the text. So the YouTube clip contained a number of elements characteristic of such terms. Okay, so this I think is our final activity and it's a section B marking. And you can have a look at the indicative content in the mark scheme, which is page 6. Remember, we're on section B now. So moving on to section B, we have the indicative content, which is on page 6. Remember, the indicative content is exactly that. It is the content which indicates where the examiners will be focusing on finding the marks, where the important information lies. So if you look at the indicative content, show it to your students and make them aware of what the examiners are looking for, the content that is important. And also the, yeah, do you have any comments about it? You can write in the chat group if you do. The mark scheme is on page 7 of the mark scheme. Page 7 is what we're going to be looking at. It's AO2 and AO3, remember. So we're looking at the final activity, and this is going to be taken from, as always, the June 2024. And this is a typical of, it's a typed response, which is easier to read. Thank you. It's easier to read when it's typed for this purpose. Which was similar to the section A1 that I pointed out before in script 1. Okay, so let me identify it for you. Let me see where it is. Let me see where it is for you. If I can find it, then I can share it with you, can't I? Here we go. Okay, activity 8. So this is in script 2 in your delegates pack. Script 2 towards the back of it on page 6, and it is a typed response. It is, over the page, 926 words. And it starts with the first way in which Antiguan, or is it Antiguan? I'm not sure how that is pronounced, perfectly honest. Antiguan and Barbudan Creole reflects the development of English across the world is through the contextual, they've written, but I think they mean contextual, but contextual present in all three texts. Text Day is in the form of a casual conversation on a social media platform called YouTube, which aims to reach a more global audience. And it goes on. So it starts with the first way in which Antiguan and Barbudan Creole. Page 6 of script 2. Just take a minute. We haven't got that long, but neither do we need it because this is something that is also a takeaway activity. But if you did skim over it, you could see we're looking for theories, we're looking for content that hits that mark scheme, and that mark scheme has clear understanding, discriminating selection of a range of relevant concepts. Is it evaluative? Where does it fit? Remember, it's that gut feeling where you're sitting in your chair as well. Can't go through it in too much detail within a 2-hour presentation, but what are you thinking? Okay, nobody on the chat at the moment, but if you do want to reach out and let me know, you might just take a minute to get over the page. The first paragraph starts with the first way, second paragraph starts the next way, and then the last way is the start of the third paragraph, and then to conclude is just one sentence at the end. Okay, so allocate a level to it, and it starts with the first way. So there I've written the beginning of the text. It's typewritten. It is actually easy to read, although there's a little bit of spelling errors at the beginning, but we overlook that because that's not what we're looking for. We're not penalising, remember, we're crediting. We're not assessing A05, which is the how they write. Okay, so if you're super confident, go for a specific mark. But in the time available, I don't think that's good. But you can definitely do that in your centres, departments, classrooms, etc. Give these to students. Let them have a go at marking them. They enjoy having a go at marking and trying to fit it into the mark scheme. And it's so beneficial to them for when they're actually creating their own scripts. And remember, it's only A2, A03. Okay. A level 4. Kaylee, you are on fire. You are on fire. What are you? You're bad. You are bad, meaning you're good, all right? Or you're hot, meaning you're good. Remember all of those from section A? All right, so let's have a look. The candidate writes in an organized way. Yes. Excuse me. Presenting a range of information and some evaluatives specific to each of the 3 texts. Evaluation, good. As soon as we get to evaluation, we know we're in the higher bands. So coverage is good in the context of the advanced subsidiary, which is paper 2. Still remember, papers 1 and 2 are the advanced subsidiaries. So moving on. Though some of the content is a little general in places, we are snorkeling, we may be not deep sea diving. There's some discrimination in the application of relevant concepts and issues, the role of YouTube. I'm ready to go, aren't I? Okay. Understanding of concepts and issues is sensibly tied to the text. So this is good. This is discriminating. It's controlled in its application. It's missing a little bit of that evaluation. There's some discussion there. There are links to contextual factors. So if you actually go through it and use your highlighter, so there's worthwhile reference to theory as well. Good. So I'm feeling pretty, this is a nice piece of work. So where was it on the mark scheme? We're not expecting undergraduates, as I've said before. Yes, it has to be more in depth than the GCSE level of analysis and everything, but we're still not undergraduate work. So the senior team presented this with this script, concurred that it was a level 4. So here we have, it's discriminating and controlled. Do I have an actual mark for it? I don't think I do for this particular script. One wasn't provided. So, but it's between the 16 and 20. It's discriminating, makes inference, and it examines. Okay, so if you were there, well done, Kaylee, and anybody else who got into level 4 for that. If you were at a high level 3, you know, don't kick yourself too much because you're on your way to understanding that it's actually just got through the barrier into the next band. But it wasn't a level 5. It didn't have the evaluation that would be necessary to push it through into that level 5. It wasn't critical and evaluative enough for it to be pushed through into that higher band. Okay, so here we're just going to quickly go through these text explorers. Level 1, this is me personally. My analogy personally is what I go by. And you can choose your own analogy. If you look at the mark scheme, the keywords at level 1 tend to be limited. Okay, everything is limited at level 1. So they find things, they just find things on a simple level. And I say, as for my analogy, they've got the toe in the water. They're just dipping the toe in the water. They're not really doing much with it. They're testing the waters, but they're not doing anything. Okay, so that's level 1. At level 2, for me, they've gone paddling. So they've got into the water, but they're not actually in there yet, but they may be up at there. So the legs are in, they're up maybe to their waist a little bit, but they've not got the courage to actually go any further. So they're moving between visitors and reviewers. They find things that seem to be connected. They might even comment on them, but they don't analyze them. They don't explain them. They don't go any further. For example, here, bro is an example of Lexis, which should be brother in standard English. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't gain them a mark. It's just stating a fact. It's basic. Okay, so level 2 is basic. It's general. They're paddling. Level 3, whoa, they're now swimming. Okay, they're secure reviewers. They explain. They're starting to explain. And level 3 is clear and relevant. They're explaining things. They know things and they're explaining them clearly. Explain here, I've said it 3 or 4 times because explain is really a key word here. The noun bro possibly shows the influence of standard American English on this variety, which may be the result of the spread of US media. And then they stop. So they're swimming, but they're not going any further. It's clear, it's relevant. Level 4, the students become explorers. So instead of explaining, they're now exploring. And for me, they're snorkeling. They've decided to have the courage. They've got under the water and they're looking at the fish and the corals and the plant life. And they're just thinking, wow, we're exploring what it's like under the surface of the water. Yeah. And everything's discriminating. It's controlled. They know what they're doing. And you can read the bullet point on the mark scheme that explains this. Okay, so they've become snorkelers, they're explorers, and they're having a ball. Yeah, they know what they're looking for. Yeah, so their expedition now is becoming more and more rewarding. This is where students look more closely at the fish, at the coral, plant life, and they comment more than just the lexis and the phonology, they're actually commenting further. I hope this makes sense and you're not going, she's gone off a rocker. That woman's crazy. Okay, there's sometimes an attempt at evaluation, but they don't actually manage it completely. They try and they're getting there and they're just breaking through that ceiling into that next level, that higher band. They're breaking through the ceiling, but they're not quite there. Okay, that's level 4. And here we go at level 5. Wow, we've got the diving bell on, we've got the oxygen mask on, we're in that water, we're going right down to the seabed and we're evaluating, we're looking at it, we're scrutinizing things, we're picking it up and going, yeah, what's that? Why is that? I'm going to keep that for later. I'm going to look at that in combination with something else. And why is it there? And so they're really evaluating critically. And if you look at level 5, it says critical and evaluative. So for me, the explorer has found engaging and simulating, it's stimulating in the material, secure mythology. They've broken through that ceiling into level 5. The journey has been entirely worthwhile. Okay, so quickly, what I said at the beginning, this is a slide you can take away, slide 56, how the qualification can be delivered. The linear route, which is the most popular, I suppose, is for all 4 units at the end of year 30, where all 4 papers are studies. They can do AS, the advanced subsidiary at the end of 12, and then the A2 at the end of 13. There's lots of things, possibly other combinations as well. So with this, maybe your centre gets in touch with Pearson Edexcel and something that suits your centre is decided upon. I'll leave that with you. So we haven't got much time for a discussion. You have been wonderful in the chat group, so thank you. And what I would like you to do is I'd like you to go away into your centres, departments, join up with other centres where you are based in the country that you are in, and join, have social events, whatever it is, get together and have times where you can, as a department, talk through what happens. Remember, it's not Secret Service. We don't keep everything to ourselves. The more we can open up, the more we can communicate with each other and exchange ideas and teaching strategies, then that works for the students, which is what we're here to do. We want success for our students. Support from Pearson. So the last sort of 15 minutes or so, there are a few slides here that I want to go through. That Pearson Edexcel do support you at every level. So go onto the website and browse around and find what interests you, what you can find useful to your department. There are lots of links for you to go on. Take your time to browse through it. We are here to support you at every stage. We have lots of teaching and learning materials, past papers, teaching and learning, and past training. So lots of past papers. Don't forget, it's not just the question papers and the source booklet. It is the mark scheme and the examiner's report for each of the series as well. Go into that with your students. Get them to understand the importance of those AOs, the assessment objectives. Okay. We have sample assessment materials. We've got forms and administrative help for you if you need help administering coursework and things like that. Teaching and learning materials and past training content as well. And Pearson Edexcel is continually adding to this bank of materials. So once you've seen it, don't think that's it, because it does, it grows. Results Plus is a tool teachers may find useful in analysis of their students and their own teaching performance. It's a free tool that you can see in-depth data on the performance of a candidate, class or school in reference to the cohort. And you can use this to see which questions and specific points students have performed well in or poorly in, and use this around help for your revision for them, results and future classroom teaching. So that's something that when you're browsing, pause on that one and have a little look. Exam Wizard is also really useful, and it's a tool that produces exercises and past papers for students to study or in classroom tests. Exam Wizard uses questions from past papers, so it is actually very accurate. The bank of potential questions increases with each series. So that's another thing that's always growing and developing. It produces bespoke questions that you can use in your classroom. And it works in conjunctions with Results Pro, as well as I just mentioned on a previous slide. Access to scripts, this is great. It's self-service, online, free and instant from results day onwards. It cuts down on speculative EARs, as schools have the time and information needed to make informed decisions. So browse around that, have a little look at how it could be relevant to you, your department, your centre. It allows you to see all your students' marked exam papers free of charge. It's available free for all qualifications and will be accessed through Edexcel online. Please note though that the scripts that you see do not have examiner annotations on them. Okay, you can use this alongside Results Plus as well. So on the website, you will find all these that are great. As well as all those free tools, we have paid for resources. This is a new one. There are 2 books, as you can see there, AS and A level, books 1 and 2. It is designed to provide students with the best preparation possible for this exam. It's written and developed by highly experienced subject experts. It's engaging, it's relevant. There are frequent opportunities for exam practice, which is great. Exam strategy, exam technique, exam practice, and signposted transferable skills that prepare for further education and also employment as well. Clear and accessible content for learners of all backgrounds. It is internationally based, okay? It's not the domestic version, this is the international version. Key terms included and explained, and there is an access to the ebook included as well. Another paid for resource here is the Teachers Pack, the Teachers Resource Pack. This is new, and this is also for the AS, which is papers 1 and 2, remember, and then the A level, which is the complete papers 1, 2, 3 and 4. And it's designed for anyone following this in A-level English language course. Teachers and learners, so teachers use it for learners who want the best preparation for exam success and progression. It's designed to help you to enrich your course with confidence and enrich your approach to teaching this qualification. It provides curriculum matched, ready to use resources. Woohoo! Anything to use, ready to use, time saving. It works in my book. Saves you time and support high quality teaching. That's what we need. We need support, we need time savers, but we need it to be relevant and we need it to be good. Allowing learning in a local content on to a global standard. Yet again, this is international level. It's available through a 1-year subscription and contains various things, ebooks, support for teachers, student activities, and the all-important practice exam papers with mark schemes. Remember, they are important and a highly useful teaching tool. Okay, what is important to say, let me just go back to that one. What is important to say is, although these are resources that are available for you to buy, it is not compulsory for you to buy Pearson resources. All the resources that are out there that you can find that are useful for your cohort obviously are valuable. It is not a prescriptive course that you have to use Edexcel resources in order to teach this exam. Okay, so that's really important. Everything that's out there, you know your cohort, you know what's relevant to them. If you know the content of the exam, you can find the resource that works for you and your students. Okay, here we have Stephen Gillespie. He is the subject partner who is supporting the English. There are his contact details there. And also, if you are in presentations with me or you've seen me face to face on presentations and events, then you will have my details as well. And together we help each other. This is teamwork, remember, and that's really important. And we smile our way through this. Okay. This is where you are at the moment, Professional Development Academy. So this is great. We have development, we have courses, we have everything that's there for you. You just have to dip into that website and have a look. And there it is at the bottom, pdacademy.pearson.com, that you can see what's available of our high quality professional development. And it's key to delivering impactful learning, which is what we're about. To help you successfully implement the IGCSE and the IAL qualifications in your schools, in your centres. And we offer a range of training from introductory sessions to in-depth customised learning experiences. There's QR code to click if you want to sign up for our newsletters and anything that you need to know, any questions that you have, You get the newsletters through and from the contact details from Stephen Gillespie, or actually just contacting Pearson Edexcel itself from the website. There is a contact link there that you can keep connected with us, and we will keep connected to you. And that communication is so important, so important. So we have a little bit of time for any questions that you might have. But I think the most important thing is to remain confident, whether you're new to this or whether you are continuing on your journey of already teaching it and you're just developing your knowledge and I say improving, but you're just expanding on how you can deliver the best possible information to your students. And we're here for one purpose, and that's to get the best out of our students, to get the success that they deserve and to help them on that journey. And if we can do that, then we can sit back and smile and go, it was all worthwhile. And that's what I feel every single day when I'm talking to students, when I'm talking to delegates, that this is a wonderful journey and it's so worthwhile, and it's creating that next generation of global learners. And I get quite emotional about it because I think our job is really important and we shouldn't ever be replaced by AI. We use AI, but be very careful with it. We are there as a connection. We're there to communicate with everybody and to get the best. So all that is left for me to say at this point is thank you for your patience today, for your interaction with me via the chat. I hope you found the information useful and helpful to you on your journey. And next week, I think Monday and Wednesday next week, I will be delivering paper 3, and then on Wednesday, paper 4. So the WEN3 and WEN04. And if you are going to join me, I look forward to meeting you. Say hello on the chat so that I know you're there. It is talking into a monitor, talking into the ether, but it's great when you do respond and let me know that you're out there and what you're doing. And if I've met you face to face, great. And if I haven't, it's still great because we're here doing this together. So on that note, is there anything that I can help you with on the chat? Or if not, then I am going to say goodbye and I will see you next Monday, hopefully. Will not literally see you, I don't think. I will be in contact with you next Monday. Thank you immensely. Thank you, Ivy. It's great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all very, very much. And I hope it has been beneficial to you. Take these slides away, browse through them, go through the mark scheme, go through all the documents that have been sent digitally to you. The specification is issue 3. It is important that you've got the up-to-date issue. It is issue 3 of the specification that you're using. All the information is in there for you. And if you still have issues or questions, then you can contact us here at Pearson. Yeah, the PowerPoint and the recording. Claire, are you there, Claire? Does the PowerPoint and the recording get sent to the delegates? Is it something that happens straight away, or is it something that happens within a short period of time? Are you there?
Hi, Sue.
Oh,
Yes,
there.
I already put the
Yeah.
WeTransfer link, which contains the slides as well as the recording. You can access it by going back to the lobby where you joined. The recording will be available typically 2 to 3 hours after the event concludes.
Fabulous, Claire. So I hope that answers your questions. Go to the link, you get the slides, you get everything you need, all the digital resource pack, and the recording should be available in a couple of hours' time, 2 to 3 hours, Claire says, but be patient. It has to go through the works first. Okay, so I hope that that helped you. Yep. Hina, yep, thank you. Thanks to Claire. She has been an absolute star here, helping me with techie issues, helping you with your techie issues, and making sure everything goes smoothly. So thank you very much, Claire, as well. Samantha, thank you. Is that Samantha? No, Shantha. I'm so sorry, Shantha. Thank you as well. Okay, any other questions or anything you need to know? Otherwise, then I will see you next time, hopefully.